The author of these verses would have been the very last to claim for them any literary merit. Some of them were written to amuse his own leisure hours, and others to entertain his friends. A few of them have appeared from time to time in the Lennox Herald and other local papers, while one or two reached a larger circle of readers in the columns of the People's Friend. They are now published in this form in compliance with the wishes of many of his acquaintances. And if no other purpose be served, the booklet will help to keep green the remembrance of one of the most loyal-hearted and manliest Christian fellows that the writer of this little preface has been privileged to know. But though these verses make no pretence to rank as poetry in the true sense of the term, it will be at once allowed by the reader, who has the poetic taste, that many of them show a felicity of expression that not every versifier possesses, and a power of seeing into and interpreting the great realities that is given only to those who have a share of the poetic soul. It is unnecessary to specify, but the last lines on A Little Songster on page 60 and those addressed to A Little Bird on page 45 will bear out what is said. That our versifier had a genuine strain of wholesome humour will be readily conceded by any who take the trouble to turn to such pieces as The Man in the Moon on page 78 or The Power of Liquid Air on page 83. Another feature is worthy of special notice. It is the power of keen insight into and appreciation of the life and ways of the working class among whom his lot in life was cast. He knew by experience the hardships and difficulties of his fellow toilers, but was able to see how amid these the true purpose of life may be reached, and how a brave heart can make music to itself in spite of the monotony of the daily task. The reader is referred for evidence of this to such pieces as Hogmanay on page 56 or The Dying Shipbuilder on page 94, and many others. It was the brave heart and happy spirit set forth in these pieces that endeared him living to many friends, and that will always be associated with his memory now that he is gone. For he is gone, cut down in the prime of his manhood by a cruel malady that made his last days on earth days of torture. The pathetic circumstances in which the last lines of this book were composed will sufficiently explain themselves. The few who watched by him during the days after his return from the Edinburgh Royal Infirmary will never forget the resolute Christian courage with which he endured his extremity of long-continued agony. He had long before learned from him who bore our griefs and carried our sorrows the royal secret how to suffer and be strong. And many a time in those hours of racking pain, the happy smile he bore told of the peace within, which passeth all understanding. And it is this, now that he has passed to his rest, that will commend these verses to all who understand the value for this world of a brave, though humble, Christian life. Signed, J. Cromarty Smith, Alexandria, Dunbartonshire, 19th December, 1903. Johnnie Blues Well by Hugh Caldwell. As downcast in sorrow I silently sit, some pleasure that's past before me doth flit, and cheers up my heart, sae I laugh to mysel' when I think on the sport by Johnnie Blue's well. Johnnie Blue was a poet, Gateside his abode, his well's situated on Neilston back road, and over its waters he cast a great spell, that they'd all be poets who drank oot the well. So oft when I'm passin' I laughingly think, I'll stop for a minute to hae a bit drink. For a poet I hope to be some day mysel', wi' drinking the water oot Johnnie Blue's well. Auld Johnnie each nicht when passin' that way spiels clean o'er the dyke to the fit o' the brae, and murmurs some rhymes nae one heeds but himself, in praise o' the water he drinks oot the well. But Johnnie, poor man, is noo growing old, and he's wearing awa' wi' the wind and the cold, and soon he'll be laid down to rest by himsel', free frae all his woes in the bonny wee well. Johnnie's Well, the lines Johnnie's Well were written when the author was 14 years of age.